Sister Angel is in the building. I see. Comrade Desiree, see you there. Let me go over to see if we can start the stream on Facebook. Check the Facebook comment, Malaki. I'm going there to see if we can start the stream.
Okay, I'm here. It says renewing. Not yet.
Hmm. Haven't connected. I'm gonna push start. Let me see. Wait, maybe one. Got about 1 more minute.
One more minute, ladies and gentlemen. Comrade Milaki, Comrade Rams is no longer on the screen.
Yes, he is aware. Give him a few more minutes. He's little technical difficulties.
Yes, no problem. Just making sure that he was aware. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining the African Descendant Union's conference call, or conference, I said web conference. Comrade Rems is having some technical difficulties right at the moment, but we will be continuing shortly. So please be patient. And while you're waiting, please share that link out to friends and family, to people you know on your social media networks. This is something that we all need to be aware of and we all need to participate in. Salute and thank you for joining. Okay, we can see you on the screen, Comrade Ramsey, but you're still muted. Few more minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and we shall be starting. As I said before, Comrade Ramsey is having some technical difficulties, but we will continue.
All right, salute. Can y'all hear me?
Salute, Comrade. Yes, sir.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining the call. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I was trying another computer that I haven't used before and it did not work well. Anyway, this is our Afro-Descendant Union call that we host every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time concerning the right of self-determination, meaning the right for us to govern ourselves, to choose our own political status, develop our own economy, culture, and society, a right that has been denied for us for probably about 500 years. We look at that and we review it and we suggest it as an alternative to what we have been doing as a people that has not been effective. Those of us who are concerned enough to be activists, political activists, social activists, etc., trying to achieve justice for our people. So on this call, we just share a few things about self-determination, go over what self-determination is, how it can be effective into guaranteeing us justice, reparations, housing, and a better economy for ourselves and our community, and how we can stop police brutality, etc. So we share some information on self-determination, how we're going to use self-determination to immediately effect change. So without further ado, then we open up the floor for questions, answers, input, critiques, etc. Right now we are in a big crisis. I was hyped to have this call. I was wishing I could have been on Facebook Live, but it didn't work out properly. So we can share it, but you all will go back and share it as well. If you want to, you also can, if you can, screen record it, this meeting, and stream it yourself online. We welcome all of these, all outlets available to get this message out to our people. Without further ado, I want to start sharing the screen. We'll try to be as quick as possible, but thorough as possible so that you can understand and can know what actions it takes so that we can immediately change things. Bear with me. I think I'm sharing the screen.
You are.
Yes.
Right. I want to share something for a couple of minutes, brothers and sisters. I want to share a video. I don't know if you all ever heard of Roland Martin. Roland Martin had during President Trump's State of the Union or whatever address he had to the government in Washington, D.C., Roland Martin and others, some members of Congress, Congressional Black Caucus and others, and black activists decided to have a live stream. They wanted to mobilize the population of America to do something about Donald Trump and his administration. So they had a live stream, and it went pretty well. They had up to like 300,000 or so people at one time watching the stream, people just wondering and hoping that they would give them some answers and some marching orders or something that they could do to stop Donald Trump. Whether you agree with it or not, like Donald Trump or not, he is having some effect on black people, white people too, but definitely we will be the hardest hit. We've always been the hardest hit. Well, I just wanted to share some things that this video went over, some of the statements of the congressmen, congresswomen, and the activists. Just a couple of minutes. Bear with me. Am I sharing? Is it on the screen, Comrade Malaki?
It's there. Yes.
Lying and shading in this country. Why are we covering the state of our union? Because when you look at what has happened since January 20th, it has been a vicious assault, not just on folks who do not align with MAGA, but specifically African Americans.
Plausibility of the possible.
Right.
That it is possible, even in this environment where they have the president, they bought the presidency and the House and the Senate and the federal court, the highest court.
That 3,000 folks who are watching live broadcast. And again, they want to know again what to do. Randy, that particular point, folks, this is a moment where you have to fight. They hold the power for 4 years. We know at least 2 years, or what happens in the midterms. And so the only way people can really step up is they have to express their outrage to what is going on.
Can y'all hear me, Comrade Malaki?
We can hear you, comrade.
All right, so far y'all can hear what they're saying. They're saying they hold the power. They're admitting that Donald Trump and the Republicans hold the power. All they can do is just express outrage. That's the only answer they have. But listen further. Bear with me.
Yeah, it's not just about not spending.
Right.
We can't spend our way out of this, but we can support each other.
So here it goes. They're shooting down the boycott that we just had. We thought was going to have some effect. Brother saying this. We can't spend our way out of this. As we pointed out on our conference call a week or so ago, that it's impossible. You can't spend your way out. You can't boycott your way to justice, especially against the people who print the money. We saw that during the COVID-19, when pandemic first hit in 2020, within a few months, they printed over $3 trillion just to save the economy, keep the economy stable. So what you think our little few billions of dollars that we may affect on one day of boycotting, or of a whole year of boycotting, is still only $1.something trillion when they print trillions of dollars to stabilize and keep the economy stable. Let's continue. Bear with me.
Through now, grow a spine and fight back. And I'll tell you something. I've been proud, Roland, of our Democratic Attorney Generals, led by my friend Keith Ellison.
We're going to mention Keith. We're going to show Keith Ellison shortly. Bear with me.
Of course, and many others.
Into your party what needs to happen in this moment.
What I'm saying to my party and everybody else is we got to get in the streets. We can't just sit at home and go to the different platforms and think somehow everybody's listening to us. We've got to show that we're willing to fight. You're absolutely right. Not only did I go to the Treasury Department for our first protest action, and then I followed that up with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where I protested and I spoke, and then early in the morning, as cold as it was, over to the Education Department to try to get in and face down with a security officer. And I want you to know, on Saturday, in my district, in front of Elon Musk's office, we protested with about 3,000 to 4,000 people.
Y'all still here? This lady's probably about 100 years old, still running around trying to protest, just making her voice heard, having no effect at all. But bear with me.
Take some time. It's going to take just what the people took in the 50s and 60s to get us to where we are. And here we are now, 60 years after the passage of the Voting Rights Act, and less than 11% of all elected officials in this country are black. And I don't mean this in a wrong way, but 100% of that 11% is not doing enough right now. So
that's a Congressional Black Caucus member. It's a black government member, Kwasim Fume, great sellout of black people. You all remember he was one of the ones that condemned Dr. Khaled. He's saying, look, after 60-something years, we're only 11% of government officials. 11%. 13% of the population, 11% of government officials. No effect whatsoever. No leverage, no power whatsoever. Bear with me.
On this, the Constitution is no guarantee of anything. In fact, it will protect white nationalism.
Constitution protects white nationalism. That's why Trump can do what he's doing, because this is a white democracy. Majority rules according to the American Constitution. That's why there's something in political science called tyranny of the majority. It's defined as an inherent weakness in democracy where the majority always get what it wants, even at the expense and interest and even life of the minority groups. So it's akin to tyranny and oppression. So white nationalism is the order of the day for the Constitution, for civil rights, because it's a white majority. So this brother's explaining that. Bear with me. Here's a lawyer speaking right here.
Reverend Barber talked about we're going to litigate, lawyers like me, we're going to go to court, etc. But I always say the revolution will not be litigated because these courts are not our courts. This law is not our law.
Whoa. What did she say? Can y'all still hear me? Can y'all still hear what they're saying?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Revolution will not be litigated. You can't take them to court. That's the only thing they're doing right now is trying to go to court. And when it goes to the Supreme Court, ultimately, of course, they're going to win. It's the Republicans. They're going to win. And if he wants, let them talk. It's a lawyer talking. It's their law. It's their law. They are the majority. They write the legislation. We're only 11% of legislators. Bear with me.
Folks who protested against the construction of a $30 million facility to train cops who will be killing our people down the road, right? After George Floyd is murdered, etc. People got charged with RICO charges. That's right. In Atlanta, there are states, many states have passed anti-protest laws because...
Listen. So now they're saying, let's turn to protest. Trump and them got that figured out already. They're passing anti-protest laws. So if you protest, they can bust you upside the head. They even made it legal that if you are in the way, in the road, somebody can run you down like that white racist did. I think it was in Virginia. Ran down and killed a protester or two. So they're making that legal to do that. Protesting is illegal. Bear with me.
Oh, here's my 2 points.
That was Charlottesville.
I don't know who's tired. I know people who are pissed off and mad. And some of the reason why they say they're tired is because they don't really have instructions on what to do. Mm-hmm. One,
clueless, don't know what to do. Bear with me.
Vote difference between the Republicans and the Democrats in the House of Representatives, but they can pass anything they want at any point in time.
But I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? Republicans have repeatedly lectured America. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
I hope everybody heard that loud and clear. That's the Democratic Party, the savior of black people, speaking, saying, what leverage do they have? Your boycotts are useless. Protests are useless. Legislators themselves in government are useless. Now what we're going to do? Nothing can be done under the leadership of those people just speaking when you're dealing with civil rights. But we have the most powerful right at our disposal where we can change things immediately. We can change black reality immediately, wherever we are. One of the places, of course, we focus on is Detroit. We're focusing on the whole nation. That's what we're going to go over on this call, the whole nation. We're calling it Black Summer 2025. What we're doing in Detroit, we're doing everywhere on July the 4th, rising up and declaring our independence via our right of self-determination. We will continue what we were doing in Detroit. We were taking over the properties of Detroit under the right of self-determination, giving those houses to those who need those homes and various benefits that come from black independence. These people that were on that conference, now they left 300,000 people that were listening, hoping for some change, hoping for direction. Like the young sister said just now, people not lazy, they just don't know what to do. And they know it's ineffective what they've been doing, because I didn't record that part, but later on in the broadcast, one of the young ladies said that she don't want a repeat of what happened with George Floyd. They hit the streets by the millions, walked away, and the police kept on killing people. So why are we going to hit the streets again for Maxine Waters, Kwasi Mfume, all you Democratic and civil rights activists? Why hit the streets again unless you hit it under a different framework? Bear with me. If you look at your screen, I'm sharing some transcript of Dr. King at a strategy meeting that he had in 1967 in Frogmore, South Carolina, with his organization, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Now, Dr. King was number one at protesting, marching, boycotting. Number one, whenever you think about all those things, if you close your eyes, I guarantee you King pops up in your brain. Here's Dr. King's words on protesting, on voting, on boycotting. These are his words. We have moved from the era of civil rights to the era of human rights. See, he had a strategy meeting. He said, look, we got to switch up the tactics. He was talking to his comrades, John Lewis, Reverend Jackson, Andrew Young. And by the way, all of them sold King out. None of them followed the orders of this meeting because the government killed Dr. King, and then most of them joined the government. But anyway, here's Dr. King saying, look, we got to leave civil rights alone. All these actions we're taking were dependent on what Malcolm X criticized him about years earlier. We're dependent on their courts. We're trying to take it to a white majority court, a court ran by a white majority. We're trying to focus on a white majority and influence a white majority government to care about black minorities. It's not happening. That's civil rights. They have a right to deny us. That's civil rights. But when you're dealing with human rights, we have a human right to have our own power. So Dr. King had switched and said, look, forget civil rights. Let's deal with human rights. Now, let me read a few of his words. Now, when we see that there must be a radical redistribution of economic and political power, then we see that for the last 12 years, we have been in a reform movement. We were seeking to reform certain conditions in the house of our nation because the nation wasn't living up to the very rules of the house that it has prescribed in the Constitution. Then after Selma and the Voting Rights Bill, we moved into a new era, which must be an era of revolution. So Dr. King said, look, the Voting Rights Bill, all this vote, we're trying to reform something. 13% of the population gets 11% of the federal officials in office that can't do anything because it's just 11% of a party that's a minority party. So they're a minority of a minority. What they gonna do for us? Absolutely nothing. Besides, like she said, make noise, express outrage. Outrage don't stop police from murdering black babies. Outrage don't stop gentrification. Outrage don't stop the poverty that we suffer from. Outrage doesn't stop wrongful convictions. So he said, look, forget vote. We can't vote our way out of this. We can't Selma our way out of this. We can't protest and picket and boycott our way out of this. This is what Dr. King, the number one boycotter, said. The number one protester and marcher said. The number one civil rights activist that we know of in history. He abandoned civil rights. He abandoned these things that we are promoting now, but they're just advocating them because that's all they know. But that's the purpose of this call. There's something that we can do immediately to change reality for black people. There's something that we can do immediately to stop Trump, to stop this inherently racist system as overall. Dr. King said, I think we must see the great distinction between a reform movement and a revolutionary movement. This is Dr. King talking. What's the difference between a reform? A reform movement is what they're talking about on that stream that Roland Martin had. Trying to go into the government. You all know the mantra. We could change it from within. We see how good that's working. Brother just said after 60 years, they have no effect. Kwasi and Fumi said that. We can march our way and appealing to their conscience. What Malcolm said, they have no conscience. What you appealing to? You gonna go in front of Musk, in front of Trump. Musk is a Nazi, white, racist German that was a practicing apartheid in South Africa. He don't care about no black people in America. You gonna go protest the Musk. We got to make this, man, we got to make sense. That's a reform movement. Now, what's a revolutionary movement? A revolutionary movement takes power. According to our human right of self-determination, we have a right to stand up en masse and just take power. No more Trump coming and just have an effect in our neighborhood. No more police. Now he's giving police the green light to kill black people wholesale. Qualified immunity and even more immunity trying to add on that. Not even talking about pardoning Chauvin, the one who killed George Floyd. And I hope they do to wake us up. Bear with me. That's Dr. King said, look, forget this civil rights stuff. Let's deal with human rights. Human rights gives us a right to take power. Wherever we are, we can stand up and take power. Yeah, King was going to Washington, D.C. again. He wasn't going to do a march on Washington. He was going to occupy the city. Bear with me. It's called the right of self-determination. We want to take action, but we don't know what to do. And it's by design we don't know what to do. If you look at your screen, I'm sharing something called We the Peoples, The Strange Demise of Self-Determination. This is written by a scholar out of Tel Aviv University and Princeton University. He wrote 34 pages explaining why the most oppressed people in the history of probably the whole universe, black people, don't even know about their basic, most powerful right called self-determination. Why we don't know about it? Who made us dumb to self-determination? Who dumped us down? Who kept the knowledge away from us? Why did they keep it away from us? Why come it's 2025, we got smartphones, but dumb black people? Bear with me. Let's read a little bit about self-determination, how powerful it is, how powerful a weapon you got. At the twilight of World War I, this scholar, this white boy actually, out of Princeton University. At the twilight of World War I, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson enthroned the people's right of self-determination as a paramount principle of international legitimation and warned, self-determination is not a mere phrase. It is an imperative principle of action which statesmen would henceforth ignore at their peril. Robert Lansing, Wilson's Secretary of State, acknowledged the power of self-determination, but limited. The phrase is simply loaded with dynamite. What a calamity that the phrase was ever uttered. What misery it will cause. Now, here's the president saying self-determination is the best thing to bring about justice and peace throughout the world. But he was talking to Europeans during World War I. But his Secretary of State was like, Mr. President, you're speaking in a global context, meaning self-determination applies everywhere. Now, what about black people in America? What about indigenous people in America? What if they use that right? It's loaded with dynamite. It'll bring calamity to white power in America. It'll cause misery to the white power structure. So immediately they develop mechanisms to make sure black people do not even think about the right of self-determination, to make sure black leadership that tries to promote and advocate self-determination, make sure they are assassinated or sabotaged, and to make sure the leadership that they put in place and that they promote never speaks on our most powerful right of self-determination. Bear with me. It even goes on to say how they will collaborate with our academics to give us the word self-determination, but make sure the word has the wrong definition, an impotent definition, a weak definition. So here we go with the Kwanzaa definition. The way most of you heard of self-determination was through Kwanzaa. That's the wrong definition, given to us by a known federal government FBI collaborator who abandoned black nationalism, saying black people don't need our own nation. We good enough under white folks. Let's just wear dashikis and change our name to black names. So here we go, knowing self-determination, but we got the wrong definition. Bear with me. Says no phrase has had greater political resonance in the last 100 years than self-determination. No phrase has had greater political resonance than self-determination. Well, why come your grandma ain't heard about it? Why come your mama don't know about self-determination? Why you don't know about self-determination? If it has greatest political resonance. Why could we only know about integration, inclusion, diversity, equality? That's what they fed us. But nobody in the world fights for equality, fights for integration besides black people in America. They fight for self-determination. Bear with me. The conference did not deliver, later championed by Wilson, self-determination likewise loomed over the deliberations at the 1919 Paris Peace Conference. This is 106 years ago. The conference did not deliver on the promise of empowering all peoples, but it let the genie out of the bottle. So he's talking about self-determination all the way back then. When they started talking about it, you only had around 40 nations in the world. All of them were colonized by white folks. As soon as they mentioned self-determination, a light bulb went off in the minds of the revolutionary leaders throughout the world. And now we got 200 nations almost because of self-determination. It let the genie out of the bottle. That's what our attempt to do here today is, let the genie out of the bottle so our people can know, look, yeah, we worried about what's going on. Yeah, things are being dismantled that benefit black people. Yeah, black people getting ready to be thrown into the bottom of the pits of hell. We're already in hell. We're getting thrown to the bottom now. But there's something that we can do. We don't have to give up like our saviors, the Democratic Party, say, well, we ain't got no power for 4 years. We got all the power. It's called self-determination. We got all the leverage. It's called self-determination if we use the leverage. Bear with me. If you look at your screen, I'm sharing an article. I'm just going to read a few things from this article. It's written by a white female attorney. She wrote it in 2015. Y'all can see the screen. Do African Americans have the right to internal self-determination? We're going to cover this because we got to understand a basic, thorough understanding of self-determination and how we can do what we're about to do and are doing. Do African Americans have the right to internal self-determination? Written by Sarah Furman, a white female attorney. She wrote this in 2015 because, as it explains in the first paragraph, the world, or the United States, black people were mobilized when we saw the deaths of Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown. We start marching all over the place. So this doctor of law said, let me write an article hoping to give some consultation to black people because I see them marching all over the place. I'm not black, that's what she's saying, but I care about black. I like black people. I see them marching, but I know based on my knowledge of history that the marching is going to be ineffective. And I know based on my knowledge of law that there's something that they really can do when they hit the streets to go back with some power and the ending of those police forces who they are marching against. These are some of the things she wrote. A white lawyer, white attorney, white doctor of law. Some feel that the American legal system is broken and thus cannot address the challenges that these events have raised. Others argue that the domestic system is working perfectly and that it has been designed to work against blacks and other minority groups. If over 100 years of participating in American politics don't prove to us that it's working perfectly against us, I don't know what will. If what those congressional members just said on that Roland Martin stream proves that it don't work, I don't know what will. But here's a doctor of law saying, look, now the domestic system is broken. It can't work. It's been designed to work. It's something in political science called tyranny of the majority. We're not going to go over it here, but Malaki, she's going to write it down in the chat box. Copy it, paste it, and read about tyranny of the majority. It's defined as an inherent weakness or error in democracy, in which a majority of a population gets what it wants, even at the expense of the minority factions, and it is akin to oppression and tyranny. So meaning that white folks are always going to get what they want, even if the policy kills black people. So what? Blacks are only minority. We are white. It benefits us. We're the majority. We vote on that policy. So now we're going to be oppressed forever until that 13% overtakes their percentage, which ain't going to happen. She writes, if the domestic system, well, if you know that that's not going to work, then why participate in it? If the domestic legal system is not seen as one that can change, one must ask what other avenues are open to minorities in America. That's the purpose of this call. What avenues are open? What can we do besides marching, getting in their face? What can that 100-year-old lady, Congressman Maxine Waters, do besides take her old elder self? I'm not putting it down. So I'm glad she lived to be, I hope she lived to be 100 more years. But that lady shouldn't be wasting her energy involved in protests. Is not going to effect change. But what other avenues are available? What can we do? This doctor of law says one such option is the right to self-determination. Self-determination has been poetically described as the right of a people to decide their own destiny. More prosaically, it ensures a people's right to govern themselves or to participate in their own governance. So they're saying, look, this lady, this is a doctor of law, a white doctor of law saying, look, you have an option, black people. It's called self-determination. You can just stand up and start governing yourself. You ain't got to worry about the white government. You ain't got to worry about white police. You ain't got to worry about white police brutality, wrongful convictions. You ain't got to worry about gentrification coming from the white community. Take over your community. Bear with me. Let me read some of her words from her last paragraph. The advantages of exercising the right have largely gone unexplored. If one imagines that right being used by the African American and black communities in light of the Ferguson protests, one can see the right's enormous potential for change. He's saying, look, we're not even using that right. If we use it, we can change things. We can stop police force. We can stop Donald Trump. We can stop overall systemic racism because now it's our system. We're going to go over how to do that. Just bear with me. I'm not going to go much into this document, but this is well worth the read. It's a 77-page proceedings from the Conference on African Americans and the Right to Self-Determination, held at Hamlin University School of Law. Hamlin University School of Law. Now, I'm getting these things from universities. I'm not downloading this from Black Power Kill Whitey website. I downloaded the last document from London School of Politics and Economics. That's where I downloaded that document from. This document here came from Temple University. No, I don't know where did this one come from. The next one came from Temple University. No, this one came from Temple University. Yes, it did. No, the next one. I don't know where this one came from. But anyway, I think it came from Hamlin University Law School. But this is a proceedings at a law school in 1993 on self-determination. Bear with me. Let me quote a few things from here. Let me read a few things. Historically, the rights of African Americans in the United States have been discussed almost entirely in terms of United States constitutional law, civil rights, rather than in the broader international legal framework of human and collective rights. So here are these lawyers, decades later, echoing what Malcolm X said, echoing what Dr. King said. He said, look, we still dealing with civil rights, constitutional law, but there's a broader framework called human rights that gives us more power, more ability to act and to change our reality. Anyway, they're right. However, important recent developments and perspectives raise new questions. In September 1992, the United States ratified the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, developed under the auspices of the United Nations. This covenant protects the right to self-determination. So that's why they came together in early 1993, because in late 1992, the United States ratified something called the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Thus, it became the supreme law of the United States according to the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. But none of us know about the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. None of us know that the number one thing it protects is the right to self-determination. But these lawyers, they are abreast. They keep up on current events concerning law. So when the United States ratified this, they said, look, let's have a conference and discuss self-determination. And let's consult black leadership and give them a encouragement or influence them or suggest to them that, look, stop the civil rights actions because it's getting us nowhere. And they even called that civil rights activists stuck in an enslavement paradigm with a strange attraction to protesting, a strange attraction to boycotting, strange because we keep doing it, it don't work. If the boycotts worked back in the 50s and 60s, why are we doing them today if they worked? They didn't change nothing fundamentally, so we still trapped because we looping back. Listen, this is what doctors of law are saying. They're gonna call us some names here in a minute. Listen, our gathering here today is historic because it represents the first effort of African American and indeed American thinkers to free their mind. Our gathering right here on this conference call, this web conference, is historic. I'm not speaking out of vanity because we're the one hosting it, but it is historic because it's going to free our minds. We trapped thinking we can't do nothing but protest. We can't do nothing but vote. We can't do nothing but boycott. Man, that's a trap to think that's all we can do. So we're going to free our minds, it says, from the intellectually crushing and oppressive paradigms that have served only to loop back toward the past. We're looping back, going back, doing the same thing they did in the 50s. Thus assuring that in relation to American pluralistic societal development, we shall continue to turn in purposeless circles. Who in their right mind want to keep on turning in a circle? If you got a destination you're trying to get to, you want to keep riding in a circle. But that's what we're doing. Around our original strange attraction to various forms of enslavement or servitude, domestication, and consequent materialism and dehumanization. Domestication. I think the word more proper is domestication. Meaning we are, as black, we're domesticated. We take a lion out of the jungle, you tame him, you domesticate him, put him in the zoo. He stops growling. This is okay. I just deal with being in the zoo. Then he gives birth to him or her to give birth to other lions. Those lions never knew the jungle, so they definitely are domesticated. They can't even think about being a ruler of the jungle because they were born in a zoo. So they're domesticated. So here we go. A people born domesticated, born outside of our own power, under somebody else's power. So we really don't think about having power. So now even if that lion is exposed to some information, he looks over it because I don't know about being a ruler of the jungle. Never experienced that. I don't care nothing about that. Even when our people are exposed to self-determination, some of them say, well, you know, we got lawyers. Those are lawyers that were on that event, that streamer just showed. They're lawyers, and they went to law school. So surely they seen something about the right of self-determination. But being that they're domesticated, they look right over that because they can't think about taking power and having power themselves. Because they're so used to being dominated by another people. So we're domesticated. We don't think about power. All we think about is appealing to somebody else's power. And consequent materialism and dehumanization. Because we are domesticated, we are inhuman. Yes, black people are inhuman. No people, especially grown men, black men, supposed to be the strongest, fastest men on the planet, are satisfied with having another man dominate him. We might as well put on some chains and get on with that sex and stuff. We're whipping each other and stuff. That's what we might as well be doing. Let the white man, just put on some lingerie and let the white man whoop you, black man. Let them get them straps on you. That's what we are. We're unnatural. Letting another man dominate us because we're domesticated. Sorry to sound so vulgar, but that's just think of our condition as black men. We just some, man, doesn't make sense. Our attempt today to begin the process of reorienting intellectual thought around the right to self-determination is first of all an act toward intellectual liberation. This is our attempt today. Everybody on here, we're trying to reorient your thought. We know you're activists. You out here saying black power, all power to the people. You may be on Facebook posting every day, getting deep, showing how Jesus is black, all this kind of stuff. We want to reorient your thought around self-determination. A lot of you put your thoughts in the boycott and all these type of things that are useless, that don't affect no change. Now just wrap your mind around self-determination. Build on that framework. Advocate that thought and actions behind that thought. And it's intellectually liberating. Because right now, if you're doing this call and never heard about self-determination, I know you're saying, whoo, that's the answer. Your intellect has been liberated. Because I know what mine was, because I used to listen to speeches by some of the greatest speakers. You know who I'm talking about, some of them. I always listened, but I always was listening for the solution. I never heard the solution, just rhetoric. So my intellect was still trapped until I heard about, oh, it's something we can do. Besides marching, besides calling the white man the devil and talking real good about our problem, articulating our problem. It says, this is an historic landmark suggesting that we have finally broken free of the enslavement paradigms and can now begin to contribute positively and meaningfully to African American freedom. Now, this is not me talking. These are doctors of law speaking, judges, professors of law. One of them is now even attorney general. This is them talking. So look, if you're not dealing with self-determination, you're not contributing positively and meaningfully to African American freedom. Proof is our condition that we still are in today in America. Proof. Because our leadership wasn't dealing with self-determination. And those that tried to peep their heads about self-determination was immediately assassinated and sabotaged. And those after, all we're doing now is just promoting civil rights action, not contributing positively. Dr. King himself admitted that after 12 years becoming the most popular activist, black activist in our history, that he didn't do anything positive. He didn't contribute anything positive. That's not me downplaying him. He downplayed himself. That's why he said, just look, we got to do something different. We got to leave civil rights alone, deal with human rights revolution. A human rights revolution is based on self-determination. I'm going to leave this document. Before I leave it, I want to share something because that white guy on that stream, he mentioned his friend, Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison was also at this conference on self-determination in 1993. Keith Ellison's words are written here. I'm going to read some of his words. He says, so integration is something that has really not been fulfilling and rewarding, even though he enjoys a top position right now. He's the Attorney General of Minnesota. He said, but any effort to separate has also been met with equal, possibly more aggression. So given those two dynamics, it is clear that the status of the African American citizen is still that of being a subject of the state and not a citizen of it. Listen, this is an attorney general. This is an attorney speaking. So look, we're just subjects. You're not a citizen. If you were a citizen, you would have to be fighting over inclusion. If you was a citizen, you'd already be included as a citizen. You wouldn't be talking about equality, treat me equal, give me some diversity. You're a citizen. Why you need that? You're just a subject, black people. So he says, and on that ground, the right to self-determination certainly needs to be recognized and even fought for. Bear with me, bear with me. That's the Attorney General speaking now, saying it should be fought for. You got to recognize it, to try to deny it, then fight for it. What else you got? You ain't got nothing else. Right now, Trump, man, he might just put us in concentration camps. He can do that. If you look at your screen, I'm going to read a few of this. I got to open up the floor, but I got to be thorough with this. All peoples have a right to self-determination. Henry J. Richardson III's Liberatory Perspective on Racial Justice, written by Natsu Taylor Saito. This is an Asian American professor of law at Georgia State University Law School. I downloaded this one from Temple University website. Writing on self-determination for black people, an Asian American. She's not domesticated. That white boy who wrote the other article and that white lady who wrote the other article, they're not domesticated. We're domesticated. So they know freedom. So they can give us some suggestions, some consultation. This is her subtitle. Notwithstanding oppression, subordinated peoples can have a jurisprudence on which they act without a dominating people or group's permission. Now she's giving this subtitle because she knows, just as we know as human rights policy officers, when we talk to people about self-determination, you think you need their permission. They ain't going to allow us to do that. You don't need no permission to assert your human rights. That's why she gave this subtitle, to break that fear that she knows is going to be in your minds once we go further into this document. Subordinated peoples can have a jurisprudence, that is human rights jurisprudence, on which they act without a dominating people or group's permission. We don't need their permission. That's what she's saying. So what I'm getting ready to tell you, this is what she's saying. Just put in your mind that you don't need master's permission. You can just go ahead and do it. When we say we're going to assert the right of self-determination on July the 4th all over America, we don't need no permission. We're just going to take over where we live. We have a right to do that. That's our human right to do so, especially against a illegally dominating people. Did we ask to be dominated by white folks? Did we ask Donald Trump's and all of those ancestors to dominate us and enslave us, conquer us, take our land, and then govern us as a minority? We never asked for that. So we don't have a right to obey. We have a right not to obey that, to disobey that. Bear with me. Are African Americans and other people of color in the United States engaging in or even considering decolonization? Are we moving toward genuine liberation rather than simply asking for superficial adjustments to the status quo? Good question. Who on here want to be really liberated? Who want to be free and control their own land? Raise your hand. Who wants to be genuinely liberated? I think all of us on this call, we want to be genuinely liberated. We don't want no superficial. Don't give me a black president when I'm still in the projects suffering from being poor. Care nothing about no black president when I'm going to prison being wrongfully convicted. I don't care nothing about a black president when my community is being gentrified. Care nothing about a black president when police are blowing the brains out of black women at point blank range. Care nothing about a black president or a black vice president. That's a superficial adjustment. Don't change the reality for black people. Proof what's going on right now. We got some superficial adjustments, yet they breaking down civil law, gutting the voting rights bill. Been gutting it for decades now. She writes, in other words, will we take our right to self-determination seriously and act on it? Now we're getting to it. We'll open up the floor in a minute. Will we take our right to self-determination seriously? Now you know you have a right to self-determination. Now, how do you act on the right of self-determination? This doctor of law, she quotes the law that tells us how to act on it. According to the 1970 Declaration of the Principles of International Law Concerning Friendly Relations and Cooperation Among States, quote, the establishment of a sovereign and independent state, we have a right to establish our own independent state wherever we are. I don't care if it's 6 blocks, like white folks did in Seattle. We have a right to establish our own, a whole city like Detroit, west side, east side, north side, south side of some cities that's majority black. Wherever area is majority black, we have a right to take it over. It says, comma, the free association or integration with the independent state. And we can say, okay, we don't feel strong enough. We're going to integrate and become part of Ghana. We're going to be Ghana over here in America. We're going to be South African America. We have a right to do that as well, if that state accepts us. It says, or the emergence of any other political status freely determined by a people constitute modes of implementing the right of self-determination of that people. In other words, self-determination can take many forms, but they all involve empowerment rather than equal treatment at the hands of the state. We're talking about moving with power, not bowing down, expecting their power. Listen, y'all, we give them power, then bow down and ask for them to use the power we gave them to give us a little bit of privilege from the power that we gave up. Make that make sense. We can just move with our own power and give ourselves privileges under our own system. You got to ask for no equal treatment. Bear with me. What will it take? I like this question. You ask this question at the end of this document. What will it take to sustain and grow movements capable of fundamental liberatory change? That's a good question. We got a minute. We got how many movements we got? Go to Facebook right now. You probably see on your timeline, if you are a conscious person, you probably see at least 200 organizations. We got all kinds of organizations, all kinds of movements, yet we don't even own not one street that's independent in America. What will it take? We got a Black Lives Matter movement that mobilized millions around that phrase, Black Lives Matter. Police murder still continued. We got powerful organizations like the Nation of Islam, took about 2 million men alone to Washington, D.C. Left there, and those men still are subject to the real men of America, white men. What will it take, man? We're doing a lot of moving, but we ain't getting nowhere. What will it take to really get liberated? As we move forward, let me read what this doctor of law is saying. As we move forward, we can learn much from what Professor Richardson has articulated about the inherent right and ability of African Americans and other peoples of color within the United States to be self-determining. Should we choose to move beyond demands for equitable treatment and frame our struggles in terms of decolonization and self-determination? Bingo. That's how we're going to utilize these movements. Next time Black Lives Matter hit the streets by the millions because of police murder or because of what Trump is doing, we hit the streets and we're taking power. We're asserting our right of self-determination. We're not going to hit the streets and then go back home. That's what Maxine Waters keeps doing, hitting the streets and going back home. Bear with me. And then we're going to close out with what the United States government says. I agree with following these instructions from the United States government. They know how to assert the right of self-determination. If you look at your screen, I'm sharing a proceedings from a hearing that they actually had on self-determination movements in 2016. I'm just going to read a few sentences from the chairman. Y'all bear with me, please. Hope everybody haven't went to sleep on me. Everybody sleep? Everybody sleep out there, y'all? Wake up now. Okay. This is some words from the chairman of this hearing on self-determination, Dana T. Rohrabacher, a 29-year congressman at the time. He says this: as advocates of democratic government, we're going to open up the floor in a minute. As advocates of democratic government and human rights, we cannot help but have sympathy with the grievances of many of these self-determination movements. They are often based on legitimate complaints and aspire to change a political structure that they quite often had no voice in creating. Number one, justification for asserting the right of self-determination. We're under a political system that we didn't create. How many of you's grandfather, great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was at that table framing them laws in 1776 and 1789? If they were at the table, they were standing at the table pouring tea and coffee for them white boys. We weren't participating. We didn't have no input in that. Or if we had any input, it wasn't for our benefit. It was helping them frame laws that was against us. He writes, what is wrong with new states? What is wrong with changing borders that have been created by monarchs back 2 centuries ago? And after all, our country is a product of the self-determination movement. This is a 29-year white congressman speaking. He says the United States itself is a product of self-determination. Why? Because the biggest act of self-determination is to simply declare independence. Declare independence. And that's what they did in 1776. Now I'm going to close out with his words on what we can do to actually liberate ourselves. That's how simple it is. Bear with me. He says, he's talking about San Diego, which has a lot of Mexicans in San Diego. He says, and if the majority of people in San Diego end up being people who would prefer that they live in Mexico, I'm sorry. They have a right to vote on it, and it's adios San Diego. Now, here's a 29-year congressman saying, look, if the people of San Diego want to become part of Mexico, which we just read a while ago, that's part of asserting the right of self-determination. You can either create your own state or you can become integrated with another nation. So if they chose to integrate with Mexico, they have a right to vote on it, and it's adios. That's what the right of self-determination gives us, a right to have our own vote and ask our people of our community, do you want to be independent? Do you want to be free of Donald Trump? Do you want to be free of American racism? Do you want reparations? Do you want free housing? Do you want to end and stop wrongful conviction? Do you want to let our wrongfully convicted out of prison? Do you want to stop gentrification? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want this? Do you want that? The people say yes, which of course they would say yes. Do you want a reparations check? Yes. Do you want your housing to be free? Yes. Okay, we'll sign this, check this box, we'll sign this saying, I assert my right of self-determination and declare independence. And it's adios to Donald Trump. It's adios to American racism. It's as simple as that. We make it difficult. Write your congressman. Go here, petition there, boycott here, boycott there. Go here in the freezing cold. That old lady said she's going out in the freezing cold to protest. Come here, come there. Then go back home and they kill some more of us. After all that protesting, all of that mobilization, yet it was simple enough for us to simply mobilize, vote, stand up and say, we declare independence, adios America. Simple. And that's what we're proposing, brothers and sisters, as the Afro-Descendant Union. All organizations, all black people, whether you're part of an organization or not, on July the 4th, we got more organized. I can't explain all of it now, but we're going to stand up wherever we live on July the 4th in mass and take over. We're declaring independence and we're taking over our community. In the meantime, of course, we got some organizing to do, forming some councils in our cities that can govern and frame new policies, get the militant element of your community to be your new police force. These are things that we can do. These are things that we can do. These are things that we must do. What else are you going to do? And I'm sure we got some people on here that are willing to do just that. Let me stop talking so much. I'm going to open up the floor for some discussion, but I had to be thorough. I know most of our people are domesticated. I don't want to hear that. I was talking to a lady the other day. She's an activist, a strong activist, got a lot of connects. She said, brother, I'm cringing while I'm listening to you. Well, a lot of our people cringe. Some people probably cringed and got off of this call, the ones that were on here. But we ain't got nothing else to do. Donald Trump gonna make you cringe anyway. With that being said, Comrade Dan, give us some brief guidelines to this call so we can get it over with swiftly.
Yes, sir. And thank you and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all the new soldiers that have joined the web conference. Salute to all the officers. I'm going to just give a few guidelines so we can make this call clear where everyone gets the opportunity to ask a question or comment, whatever they might have to say. But just want everyone to try to keep it short to make sure each and every one of us get a chance to make their statement or to ask their question. What you do is tap your screen, highlight your mic. You ask your question, comment, or idea, or whatever it is you might want to say. Then you go back on mute. You let Comrade Ramzu answer it or respond to it. If you don't want to speak out, you can always put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, and then it will be read out by Comrade Malakia. But the one thing that's quarantined that we will not have on this conference is fear. There's no fear, because things they're already doing everything they can do to the people right now. So with that being said, I'm gonna turn it back over to Comrade Ramsey. Remember, don't leave this conference without.
Thanks, Comrade Dan. Phone was breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's my system or your phone. But anyway, the floor is open for input, questions, critiques, suggestions, etc. Hit your microphone and you can give your input, etc., etc., etc. Karen Malaki, go ahead.
Salute, comrades, and welcome to the guests. Sister Robinson, Miss Robinson has a question, and her question is, so what do we do to take over a street or location?
Okay, good question. They set some good examples during the pandemic with one of the places. They did it in a number of places. One of them was Seattle. For instance, you want to take over a block. Just take over the block. They put a barrier up or say, look, this is our block. And let people in that were lived there. Nobody else could come in. Police couldn't come in there. And they did that over 6 or 7 blocks in Seattle. They also did it in Minnesota as well, Minneapolis. They did it in a number of places. So the matter of just saying, look, we take over this. We declare independence. Here's our barrier. This is or what the college students did last year, the year before last, when in protest of the Israeli genocide against the Palestinians. They created what's called liberation zones. They were doing it more symbolically, but liberated zones is a reality in conflict, a reality in resistance, a reality in a liberation struggle. Create a liberated zone. Look, this zone right here has been liberated. Everybody on this zone agreed to assert their right of self-determination. So we declare independence right here. You can't come in here. And they can't come in there. Legally, they can't come in there. Like legally, they didn't bother coming in there in Seattle. So they caused some internal problems where there was some deaths there. So they had to come in order to address the deaths and murder. So that's how you take over. You get a group together to say, look, just like we have block alliances, block clubs, etc. They got some kind of self-governance in a number of communities across America. So look, this block is now the council, the city council, the state council of this community. This is how we're going to govern this. All the properties, no real estate company owns them anymore. We're taking over these properties. Anybody who needs them, we will allocate them to those who need them, etc., etc. Just take charge. I don't know if that answered your question or not. It's that simple. Just do it. Any other questions, any comments, input, critiques, shout outs?
Yeah, Conrad Ramsey. They call that a radical redistribution.
There it is. That's what it's called, radical redistribution. That's what we're going to do, redistribute. Well, black people live worth over $15 trillion in real estate value alone. That's real estate value. Geographical value is into the quadrillions, but just trillions of dollars in real estate value. What if we took over and leveraged those trillions of dollars? Everybody can get a good stimulus check out of that. And then the rest we can use to build our own economy, our own production of what we eat and wear. We got it right there. We're expecting the government to cut us a check. Where they going to get it from? From government assets. What if we become the government? Now we have the assets. They're not going to give us anything. Any other questions, any comments? Follow what I want to share. Let me share one more thing I want to share. The closest example we have, we can find an example up there we're down in Mexico. Am I sharing the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, look at the screen. New Afro-descendant municipality emerges in Mexico amid invisibility and discrimination. Let me read a little bit of this. After almost 10 years of filing formal requests, Huejotzingo Guerrero, detached itself from the municipality of Ozoyo to become part of a new self-proclaimed Afro-descendant municipality. See, detached itself. When people talk about separation all the time, separation don't mean leaving and going somewhere all the time. Matter of fact, we are already separated. My community is already separated from white folks. So all we got to do is detach ourselves from their political control. That's separation. Even in the Declaration of Independence, when those who framed that document said we're going to separate, they said we're going to list to you the causes of the separation. It was a political separation, not a physical separation. We're already physically separated from Caucasians. So now we have to detach ourselves, and that's what they did. Listen, it says, so based on Article 39 of the Mexican Constitution, which establishes people's self-determination, 9 communities joined to form the new municipality based on the right of self-determination. Because Mexico, they also in 1981, 11 years before the American government ratified the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Mexico ratified the same covenant. So now they adopted self-determination as law. And these Afro-descendants in Mexico acted upon their right of self-determination. That's all we got to do is act upon our right of self-determination. Detach ourselves and say, look, we declare independence. We ain't worried about Trump no more. We're not worried about police brutality no more. We're not worried about homelessness no more. Babies ain't going to die no more freezing homeless in a car no more in our neighborhood. Because we control these houses. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of properties in Detroit, babies dying in the cold. Yeah, we got these activists in Detroit marching around whose streets? Our streets. It's the white man's streets. It's his houses. It's his properties. Your life belongs to him as long as you're under his government. That's a close example, close to home. And that's what we're going to do. That's our flyer. Go to my Facebook page and you can download that flyer. Share the post, or even just share the flyer with your own words. Black Summer 2025. Black Summer, just like they had an Arab Spring in 2011. During the springtime, the Arabs rose up by the masses and overthrew their government by the numbers because they didn't consent to the government anymore. So here we go with the right of self-determination. More powerful right than the Arabs had. They just had the right to being disgruntled and grievances against the government in massive numbers to change the government. We have a right of self-determination that we were denied, have been denied for hundreds of years. We can just simply stand up and say, look, we declare independence. Black Summer 2025, spread that. Everybody got to stand up this year. Everybody. That's what they were talking about on that Roland Martin stream. Getting out there, standing up, hit the streets. But hit the streets for what? Hit the streets and go back powerless, or hit the streets and take power? That's the question Dr. King said. What we got to make the distinction. A reform movement or a revolutionary movement? What they were talking about is reform. Trying to appeal to Musk. Trying to appeal to Trump. Trying to y'all think y'all can reform Trump? Raise your hand if you think you can reform Trump. You can reform apartheid Musk. You can reform. Can you reform him? Come on, man. But we can have a revolution against them and take power from them. Take our power back from them. That's what revolution is. Whether violent or non-violent. But it's revolution. Any other questions, any comments, any input? Anything else from Ms. Robinson?
Comrade Rams,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they did ask a question about how do we do it. Would you get a little more in depth into how we do it, as far as the territories where we're the majority population, or 51% of any area, or just
Okay.
get a little more clear
All
for
right.
them?
Thanks, Comrade. There's something called the Montevideo Convention, which defines in international law how a state is established. You got to have like three components: a territory for one, a consenting population, and a government over that population. So now, for instance, in Detroit, we are a council in Detroit. We're a temporary governing council. So now that's the government. We got the territory. That's Detroit. Now we have to get a consenting population. How do you get a consenting population? You go out with ballots and get them to sign the ballot saying, I, as an Afro-descendant, and that answers the question Brother Ali just asked, I, as an Afro-descendant, assert my right of self-determination. So now you got a whole list, compilation of black votes saying we assert our right of self-determination. Just like for Donald Trump to become president and people to become mayor, senator, or whoever, they had to get a compilation of votes saying that they wish this person to be in power. Same thing for us. Compile them. Or just by massive gatherings alone to express the political will. To express the political will of the people. As long as that political will is expressed. But the most formal way that it's expressed is via a vote. So take a ballot. We have the ballot on our website, afrodescendants.com. Afrodescendants.com. You can download that ballot and take it out and get it signed. Or you can take the digital form out there and get it signed. And there you go. You have a compilation in your community. Get with your peers in your community who are concerned and want to be active. Get together with them and say, look, will you form a governing council with me over our community so we can declare independence? So those are the steps. Your campaign. We created some infographics that had the steps. We want to publish those infographics. It's come out way back on my timeline. We'll publish them again. An infographic to go over each step. Form a governing council. Okay, we got the governing council. Create some flyers. Go out to the people and campaign to get their vote. Take the vote with you, like they did in the Donbass region in Ukraine recently. They took a vote door to door. You don't have to have a polling station. You can take it to people's door and have them sign it. Once they sign it, you have enough. You say, look, we declare independence. And you start running. Also, another component is a police force or a military force. Try to gather up some brothers that's willing to protect their own. And that's it. Number one, create a governing body. Number two, go out and campaign. Tell the people what the benefits are. Do you want reparations? We're going to leverage city assets. And from them assets, we're going to cut everybody a stimulus check. We're going to take over distribution of goods in the city, so at least we can make some money off of what's being sold in the city. And last but not least, we can grow the food ourselves in that city. So now we're making all of that money. Like, for instance, we spend $90 million a week in Detroit on food. What if we grew that food? What if we at least distributed the food? And if we didn't make 90 million, we at least make 20 million from distributing. But we don't do that. So those are the type of things that policies we put in place where we live. Leverage the assets. We got $600 billion worth of properties in Detroit, Chicago, and California. New York and California have $5 trillion. Chicago has $4 trillion worth of real estate value. We took over those cities. We got $4 trillion. We go to the Asian development banks. It's Chinese like buying up properties in America. Look, we got $4 trillion worth of property. We don't even need $4 trillion. Just cut us $100 billion check. We're gonna leverage these properties. We'll pay you back. Give us $100 billion. Now that $100 billion, we're going to create our own industries. We're going to create free electricity, free water, et cetera, some factories to process our foods and create our clothing. Some large-scale urban gardening to grow the food for us. We got all these assets. So I hope that was clear, Ms. Robinson. I don't know if it was or not. Come right there. Go ahead.
Yes, I don't know if any of you watch Black Culture Diaries and what's going on in Burkina Faso, but exactly what Comrade Ramsey just mentioned is what he's doing. He's creating his own industry now. He was sending all the raw materials out. Now they're doing it themselves with the food, with the clothing, with everything. That's how simple it is. I mean, it might seem like it's a lot, but it's very simple. Very simple.
But there is
Salute.
a manifesto we have written on Black Summer 2025. It goes over some of these details. We're going to publish that. I tried to publish it on the website, but I didn't have enough time before I got on this. But it should be there by tomorrow morning, or I have a download link. You can download the document itself. But just like the brother's doing, he's doing what Thomas Sankara tried to do in the early 80s, was become autonomous. You eat every day. Why don't you grow your own food? You drink water. A lot of us drink bottled water. Why is a city of black people spending millions of dollars on bottled water? And if you read the bottled water, it says from Texas municipality water source that was filtered by their machines and put in a bottle and sold to us 800, 900, 1,200 miles away. Where they do that at? That doesn't even make any sense. You can bottle your own water. I can run water from my tap. That's what they're doing, and put it through a purification machine and sell the water, make millions of dollars to go back to the black community. So we nationalize our economy. Ain't nothing being sold in Detroit if it's not made in Detroit, or at least distributed by the Detroit People's Corporation. So now we getting the money ourselves. So we ain't got to tax the people. We got to steal the people's money. In Detroit, they tax the people by about 900 million per year, 900 million to 1 billion, 900 million to 1 billion in taxes in Detroit. But in food alone, they spend 4-point-something billion. So what if we distribute the food? We'll make those billions ourselves. So we don't have to rob the people in tax money. Conrad Malaki, go ahead.
Yes, Afro-descendant Ali put 2 more questions in the chat. I don't know if you answered the first one. He said from the YouTube chat question, would we have to define ourselves as a nation with a homeland and an economic system to sustain us? So far, we have FBAs as a name. Black people is not the name of our nation. That's the first question.
Yeah, as a name, you don't have to name it. You can name yourself. Well, of course, internationally, they call us Afro descendants. But like many African nations got liberated, they just called themselves black, and they still got liberated. So using the word black, that's erroneous. Some people spread that teaching that you can't get free if you're using the word black. Well, why they ain't free, and why all those billions of Africans are free, and they use the word black? Look at their paperwork. It was black written on those documents and stuff. Then after they got free, they said, okay, we're black, but we are the nation of Zimbabwe, so we're black Zimbabweans. But they use the word black. All human beings, no matter what you call yourself, even if you don't have a name for yourself, you are still considered a human being with a right of self-determination, with human rights. But formally, of course, we would call ourselves something. We would name ourselves. What's the name of your nation? You're Afro descendant or black people. The name of your nation is this. So now it's people will refer to you whatever you called your nation. But we don't have to formally say we're this or that. But during our voting process, we're saying as an Afro descendant, I assert my right of self-determination. I don't know. What he said, FDA?
I believe he said the FBAs.
Oh, I think some people call themselves foundational Black Americans. That's another term. That's just a term that people use, foundational Black Americans. So if they're foundational Black Americans, where's the freedom still? Are they liberated yet? Have they liberated themselves? Or are they still foundational Black Americans under the foundation of white folks? Ms. Robinson, go ahead. Ms. Robinson, you're probably one of the biggest voices on here. I know you're not afraid to say anything.
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't have anything to say. I think I just got pushed out the meeting and had to come back in. I did want to say though, thank you for explaining that just step by step, and please, thank you so much for also explaining like the name doesn't matter. And I think that as Black folk, we get caught up on that so much about like, oh, are we going to be called this, and it's not a nation, and it's not that. We still have no rights regardless to whatever we decide to call ourselves. So I'm just grateful that you explained it in that way, because I think we get hung up on the wrong things completely. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, if you really have nothing you're standing upon, then you'll pick little stuff to argue about, to base your stuff on. Just create stuff. Idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we got idle minds because we don't have nothing we really engaged in for liberation. So that idle mind creates different names for ourselves. We just sit there. Oh man, you know what? Boom! I just thought of a new name. The Foundational Negroes. Oh, bam! Let's go with that. Malaki. Damn. Let's hit the airways. Start saying Foundational Negroes. That's a good name because they used to call us Negroes back then. Now we're the foundation. Now it is. So we're Foundational Negroes. Yeah, we still ain't free. What are you doing, foundational Negro? What are you doing to get liberated? We're involving ourselves in trifling things, things that doesn't really matter. Any other comments, any input? But it's good conversational piece. This is a good conversational piece, good thing to debate about. We ain't got nothing to debate about. They ain't debating. Let's debate about what to call ourselves. Wasting time. Yeah, other people get liberated. Go ahead, Conrad Malaki.
Afro-Descendant Ali has another question, and it is from the YouTube chat, Brother Ramzu. How can we get Mr. Chikumbutso's, I know I messed that up, technology here? And what can that Zimbabwe judge you live with help get this done?
The judge I live with? Who know I live with a judge? Okay, yeah, I should live with one of their judges, the first minister of justice, actually, Simbi Mubako, great man. Simbi Mubako passed a year or two ago, though. But how can what did he say about that, about the judge?
How can we get the judge to help get this done?
What done?
How can that Zimbabwe judge you live with help get this done? Brother Afro Descendant Ali, why don't you, if you want to open your mic and you can elaborate if you like.
Mhm. Oh, is that okay? Well, of course, the judge is no longer amongst us, but I mean, I know many people in Zimbabwe. I mean, it's a matter of us, whatever his terms is. He might say, okay, I help you for $1 million or $2 million, whatever terms he has, then we have to meet those terms in order terms of engagement. And so it's as simple as that. Sure, if we are a nation and need that technology, and of course we would have the necessary capital as a nation because we have so many assets. So of course we'll be able to pay him, and then he will transfer that technology and help us develop that technology in our nation. So it's a matter of that. We're just reaching out to him and him defining his terms.
And also that would help protect his technology and help support him. The more people that know, that is aware of what he's doing, and the more people that participates in his industry, the safer he will be, in my opinion. Peace.
Good opinion. Yeah, so of course technology is not going to stay confined to him. Others are going to build upon that technology, even make it better. That's the nature of technology. But when everything is motivated in a capitalist society, that's when you have a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening. People worried about the bottom line; they're going to lose money because it's about money. It's not about helping mankind have better energy, etc. It might be for him, but overall, capitalism takes precedence because it rules the world under the system of those who are so-called superpower. So that involved, then you have a lot of stuff that may go south. Like we saw how deep seek. I know you heard of deep seek, how that just crushed America's AI technology and development as far as the way it did it with very little money. But it was open source. It wasn't proprietary for sale. The technology is open source, so it can be even improved upon, but it can be freely adapted by all scientists or technologists or computer developers, software developers. So I'm sure his technology should be open source. If not, it will be open source. Any other questions? But there are a lot of geniuses out amongst our people. A friend of mine got a brother or two in Nigeria. He has some technologies similar along a similar line as that. But that's our people. We are. I know we try to be black people. We want to be equal to everybody. So we're all the same. No, we're not the same. We're not the same. We're not the same as white folk. We got different brains. We got melanin. We think different. We are superior. That's not being racist. We are superior. So of course our technology will, no pun intended, but trump their technology, and we'll have advanced technology, more advanced technology than Europeans or Chinese people, if we apply ourselves. But we too busy trying to pay the bill. We too busy hiding from the landlord to try to go somewhere and sit down and develop technology. So what would happen when we actually break free from imperialism, from white oppression? You know what we would come up with as a people? We'll be walking on the air within 1 year. I guarantee you. Comrade Dan, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to mention about Derek Automotive. Derek Automotive down in Atlanta. He has an electric car, electric engine design that self powers itself. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another brother. We are the world. We are directly connected to this universe through that melanin in us. We are directly connected. These ideas that we have and some of the greatest inventions that has been created was created under some of the
Mm-hmm.
most duress and terrible, horrible situations, but the mind never quit creating. And that's our power, that we're
Mm-hmm.
connected to this universe directly.
Mm-hmm.
Salute.
Yeah, it is. Teaching on that. Any other questions from our descendant? Ali, Brother Shaheed. Rashida, did you want to say something? Putting you on the spot. Rashida is a big activist, the first black activist, dark-skinned activist. She's the author of a number of books as well.
Everybody, I'm just glad to be here, just listening, and I support what everyone is doing. That's it. I'm just listening.
All right, thanks for being here, Rashida. Y'all look her up, Rashida the Strober. She's a dark-skinned activist, very intelligent, powerful sister, and she makes it happen. She makes it happen, unafraid.
Thank you.
She's an actress as well, not just an author, also an actress. So she does plays as well. She does it all. She probably builds cars too. I don't know.
Yes, sir. I'm just listening.
Okay, Kmu, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back and reiterate on the technology aspect is not to mention that a great deal of the technology that exists here is the basis, come from us. The basis is built upon the basis of minds from our liking, from people like us. All of the genius you see here was started with somebody's Afro descendants ideas who was taken, and then they capitalized upon them, and because they had the resources and the capital to build upon them, this the automobile itself. We ain't talk. They ain't these people. Ain't nobody. They just got the upper hand. With the power, and they power is they money, and some of us we we use it. We got to use it right now in our conditions and situations. But the ideal is to break that power, and it's to break that money, to come up with our own money. So anyway, salute, comrades. Hey, by the way, man, I don't know if y'all got a chance to hear the little song that I put into the Telegram. Man, if I don't know if you get a chance to listen to that, I sat and I listened to that thing. I said, "Wow, that's us. That's what we're doing right here. That's what we're doing. This is it. Ain't nothing else. This is it." Yeah. Anyway,
I'll
salute,
listen to it. Salute, comrade. Yeah, everything did come from us. Go ahead, Rashida.
I did want to quickly chime in and say that I think that this is what you're doing is definitely needed. Just looking at the situation, I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida, and it's a ton of homelessness going on with black people here. I have a big, huge problem with that. And asserting the right to self-determination is directly related to this issue of homelessness because no black person in this country should ever be homeless as far as I'm concerned. So, one of the things that I can definitely say is this is needed because of that. We need to do something about this homeless situation. Also, it's a lot of brothers and sisters suffering from mental illnesses, and I think a lot of that has to do with the depression situation that we find ourselves in as oppressed people in here. But we can do something about it with all the principles that Brother Ramzu laid out. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade Rashida. Yeah, definitely. Wow. So homelessness is everywhere. We got a housing pandemic everywhere. Even in St. Petersburg, Florida, we think it's all sunshine down there. It is sunshine, but some people are living out in that sunshine with no homes, and that shit definitely what we done put into the United States. We don't black people homeless, but if we don't know better, we won't do better. So we will accept being homeless. We will accept being gentrified. We will accept all the things that we accept, and think the only way that we can stop them is try to appeal to those who seem not to even care. But it's something we can do. It's called self-determination, the right of self-determination. So, Rashida, you got to let those people know, look, they have a right of self-determination. Organize or get with the homeless. I should have got probably a homeless coalition or something there. Let them know, look, y'all, we're going to rise up. We're taking control. I don't know if St. Petersburg is majority black or not, but I know where the black people live is majority black. So we're going to take control of this area. We're going to create an autonomous zone here. And we're taking over the houses here. Also, yeah, they did it. I think it was Portland, Oregon, they did it as well. They was trying to evict someone, and then the community came together and created an autonomous zone in that community, and they left the person alone, let them keep the house in Portland, Oregon. They took charge. We have a right to do certain things beyond what we have been doing, more powerful things. And the most powerful thing we can do is assert the right of self-determination. It's not rocket science. You heard what these doctors of law were consulting us and encouraging that black people do on the documents that I shared. You heard the American congressman himself say, look, it's as simple as saying voting on it, and it's adios. Or do you really want to say adios, or do you really love being under your oppressor because you know nothing else but being under your oppressor? You're domesticated, like those lawyers said. But that domestication is being broken right now because people are upset and they're scared. They're really scared right now. But you have the solution. If you've been on this call, you have the solution right now that you can offer your people, your community. Any other comments, any questions, any input? But it's a black summer. It's a black summer, 2025. Get ready. July the 4th, we got to rise up. Everybody else can do it. We can do it. If Arabs can do it under repressive governments, and the governments of those countries, and I've been to some of those countries, those governments don't play. You get out there protesting, they'll shoot you down and just keep on going. Yet they had enough strength, enough courage to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. And here we go with a government that supposedly respects human rights. A government that even said in the hearing, all we got to do is hold a vote, and it's adios. So what's stopping us besides us? Brother Shaheed, go ahead. Well spoken. Well spoken.
Amen.
Well spoken. Well spoken, brother. You know, there's going to be opposition. Of course, there's going to be opposition. We just got to stand fast against opposition. We know what we're doing is right. Like Brother Keith Ellison said, who's the Attorney General now, he said in that document we read, the conference that they had on self-determination at Hamlin University Law School. He said, yeah, if we try to assert self-determination, there's going to be some opposition. But there's going to be opposition and even outright deaths under normal conditions as a minority anyway. So it's better off just to go for the gusto for your liberation, even if you have to fight for it. It's best to assert, recognize your self-determination, and fight for it, and just stay the way you are and gonna die anyway. And if you look at history, all self-determination movements, of course, were launched by oppressed people under the heavy hand of a powerful oppressor. But they still stood up and they eventually won. We can stand up and we will eventually win. They can't suppress 50 million people. They can't do that. They don't even have enough weapons to do that unless they kill themselves. So they may try to, even during the civil rights movement, they only knocked off a couple of leaders. They ain't kill everybody out there at the protest. They knock off a leader to scare everybody else, and it worked. They knocked off Dr. King, Andrew Young, John Lewis, Jesse Jackson, all of them tucked their tail and even joined the government. They killed their comrade. So it worked. That's what Hitler said. Hitler gave them some consultation. He said, sabotage your enemy. He said, demoralize your enemy through sabotage, assassination, and so forth. That is the war of the future. So look, this is knock a couple of leaders off. Sabotage some organizations. Now everybody's coming up. They're not going to want to be sabotaged. Our great leaders that we got today that can speak, but they're going old now, but they can speak so good. They're not going to go further than speaking because they don't want to be like Malcolm X. They don't want to be like Martin Luther King. They don't want to be like Fred Hampton. They don't want to bite that bullet. So they're going to keep us in place, control the opposition. But we have nothing to worry about. Self-determination movements always win because they're not just principally right, but they're lawfully right. You can't deny a self-determination movement. That's why the U.S. government had that hearing, said, look, we can't deny a self-determination movement, even if unlawfully we try to deny it. Ultimately, they would triumph because they got law on their side, the self-determination movement. That's what the government was saying. The United States government was saying that. So what we have to lose? We're losing anyway.
The question is, what do we have to win? That's the question.
Exactly. What do we have to win? Everything. You're not going to get anything. So now at least Trump got our backs against the wall where we have to fight. And the only weapon we got that can effectively stop Trump, the only weapon we got is self-determination. There's no other weapon we got. Try something else. Like the lady said, that Congress lady, she said on that Roland Martin stream, they got the courts. They got the highest court of the nation. They control that. They got the Congress. They got the Senate. They got the House. They got the presidency. What you gonna do? You only have self-determination, black people. That's all you got. Don't let these civil rights people fool you, have you out there marching and going back home and you still get kicked in the butt by Donald Trump. But that's all that's gonna happen. If you don't get mobilized upon the framework of self-determination, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. We're losing already, so you're just gonna continue to lose until you die. Come right down, go ahead.
Yes, did you speak on the international covenant to where the right of self-determination came from? What gives the right of self-determination the ultimate authority and international covenants?
I spoke on it. I didn't show it on the screen. I can show them right quick, but when I read from the conference that they had, the lawyers, doctors of law had at Hamlin University, Hamlin Law School, when they said that they're having this conference because of the International Covenant. The United States ratified the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights in 1992, making it the supreme law of the United States. And the first thing it says, I'm going to show you on the screen. The first thing it says is this. Where are we at? Bear with me. I think I'm sharing the screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
The first thing it says, here we go. This is the International Covenant. If you don't have this, download. This is the top law of the United States of America. This is what other people use to get free. This is what Ukraine used. Ukraine used this document to declare independence in 1991. And many others did the same based on this document. Those Afro descendants in Mexico used this document to declare independence. Look. First thing it says, all peoples have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Did any of us freely choose the political status of minority in a white democracy? Did any of our grandparents, great-great-great-great-grandparents choose that? We didn't freely choose that. So like the congressman said at that hearing, because we didn't freely choose our political status, now we can stand up and freely choose a political status of being independent of white American system, the white American government. We can choose that now based on our right of self-determination. That's the law. That's why the congressman said it in their law hearing, the United States government hearing. All we have to do is vote. That's a way of expressing our self-determination, voting and making a declaration of independence based on that vote, our own vote. While we spending billions of dollars to try to get voted in as a president of white interest. She already told you she only can represent white interests. She proved that before she even got in office. I think am I still sharing the screen?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Let me show you your buddy here. Kwesi Mfume, the one who was speaking at the stream. He's a congressman. This is him. It's him. Look. Y'all ever heard of AIPAC? I know y'all heard of AIPAC. That's those Israeli devils.
Yes.
Yes, that pays off and buys American government officials. Look what they said. Congratulations to AIPAC endorsed Representative Kwesi Mfume on your primary election victory. AIPAC is proud to stand with pro-Israel progressive leaders who help strengthen and expand the U.S.-Israel relationship. Means give us guns to kill babies and women. It says being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. You see, here's a brother whose mic is open. Whose mic is open? Close your mic. Somebody's mic is open. Oh, that Rashida's mic. So Kwesi Mfume, that's now he's worried because he's getting beat up by Trump. You should go to AIPAC. Tell AIPAC to stop Trump. They finance Trump and the Republicans as well. Look at him. Look at this brother.
He's out of Maryland too. What an embarrassment.
A big embarrassment. And who all on here know a brother named or used to late Dr. Khalid Muhammad? Who knows Dr. Khalid Muhammad?
Yep. I ain't gonna raise my hand, but yep.
One of the most, after Malcolm X, one of the most fearless brothers for the Nation of Islam. Well-spoken, fearless. I'm not saying other brothers are not fearless because we don't know the hundreds of thousands that have been part of, but as far as the well-known speakers and activists or nationwide personalities from the Nation of Islam, he was one of the most sincere, fearless ones. He got condemned by Kwesi Mfume. Here's their condemnation right here. I got it on the screen right now. They passed a resolution against Dr. Khalid. Congressional Black Caucus. Then they talked to Farrakhan and got Farrakhan to condemn his right-hand man, the man who would die for him. This brother right here, he was the president. He was the head of the Congressional Black Caucus at the time, making that statement again. It's on video of him making a statement against Dr. Khalid. It's on video and it's in writing. And now he's crying because he's getting beat up. And here go AIPAC celebrating him because he's a sellout. He's bought and sold. So, brother, this is the type of people that we got representing us. Think they're going to save us as black people? Nah. He'll save an Israeli, though. Fire these fools and declare our independence. They fired. They already fired from me.
What's his name again, please?
Kwesi Mfume. Kwesi Mfume. Look at that. They got the blackest names, man. God.
That's wild.
Like how King
it's pronounced Quasi.
Quasi, crazy, whatever it is. Mfume.
Thank you.
The House Majority Leader name is Hakeem Sekou Jeffrey. Sekou. Hakeem Sekou. Sekou Touré is one of our most powerful, strong African presidents. I think he was president of Guinea, if I'm correct. Am I right? Sekou Touré. He's named after him. Look how weak he is. He's endorsed by AIPAC as well. That's why he went to pro-Israeli rally saying Israel got a right to defend themselves when they were dropping bombs on these babies in Palestine. These are our leaders. They don't have no backbone in the first place, so of course they're going to say we have no leverage. It's that they run the government, because they have no backbone in the first place. But that's who we got represented. That's who our people put faith in these people. It's a new game, though, because the people that got faith in don't have faith in themselves because they didn't throw in the towel. It's our turn now. It's our turn. It's a black summer. It's a black summer. Any other questions?
I'm definitely gonna get use that logo or that print on a shirt made. I'm definitely getting it on a shirt made.
Yeah, we gotta get some shirts made with that. That's a good graphic. It's a black summer, brother.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's a black summer.
Black
it's a
summer.
black summer. It's a black summer.
Right. Say it everywhere. I'm gonna put it on my truck too. You watch. You're gonna see it on my truck and trailer. You're gonna see it. I promise you.
Brother Britton Bay, salute, comrade.
Salute, brother. How yourself be?
Man, we fantastic, man. We feeling better than we ever felt. I know I am. Because it's our time. It's our time, brother.
Yep. We've been waiting patiently long enough. Yep. I see you doing big things over there too, over across the water.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying. But the biggest thing is over there where you at.
Yep.
That's why I need you. That's why I need you, soldier.
Yeah. I'm on deck, man.
All right, bet. We just talking about your homeboy. Aren't you in Minnesota?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we just talking about your homeboy, Keith Ellison. He's still the Attorney General?
Yeah.
Yeah, we was talking about him. Yeah. He used to be an advocate of self-determination. He attended a conference at Hamilton University Law School on self-determination in 1993. And he said that we should fight for self-determination. Fight for it. So when you all start fighting, you should get some endorsement from Mr. Ellison.
Oh, wow, that's good stuff.
Yeah, we're going to publish.
Yes, sir.
We're going to publish his quote and some of the materials that you all use in Minnesota during the Black Summer. We're going to publish his quote saying that self-determination should be recognized and even fought for. Those are his exact words. Self-determination should be recognized and even fought for. So in Minnesota, definitely in Minneapolis, where they killed George Floyd at, we're going to fight for it until it is recognized and asserted. So, yeah, brother, y'all got some work to do. And I hope, some people may think I'm crazy and I'm anti-black, but I hope they pardon Chauvin. I hope they let him out. So it can drive us to take action. Let him out. I don't know if you know,
please explain.
No, that's just propaganda, man.
Yeah.
They know what time it is, bro. Like, they ain't that stupid. They stupid, but they ain't that stupid, man.
Well, they are that stupid now. They're that stupid. They just let them out. What they let about 1,500 of the insurrectionists out to let them out.
Yeah, because that was bullshit from the get-go, man. It just goes to show you how much on code they is. Like, we got to figure out this code thing. We got to get on code. Because we as a whole, man, we the mistaken infiltration for integration. And there's two different things, man. You know, they playing, you know, we run around here playing the integration card while they playing the infiltration card, man.
Yeah,
two different things. We've been infiltrated like a mug, bro.
Yeah,
and so there's a punishment for treason, man. Like, we got to hold our own accountable, man. There's got to be some type of repercussion for treason. That's why we're where we at. We can't get to our own because these ones is in the way, man. They got to get all the way out of our business so we can deal with our own.
Indeed, brother. Indeed. Infiltration. We thought integration. It was infiltration. We spoke on. We didn't use the infiltration word, but that fits. We spoke on a few days ago, or last week. We went over the history actually of the Democratic Party. If you know the Democratic Party, actually they were the racist party, the pro-slavery party. They the party that sabotaged all the different Black Wall Street type cities like Wilmington, North Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. It's the Democratic Party that killed Dr. King, et cetera, and those others. It was them. But in order to absorb the Black Power movement and the movement of Black people for civil rights and utilize their power, they absorbed us by letting us integrate with them and become part of their party. And they now, and to this day, they just use us for their own interests. But we took it hook, line, and sinker. So they infiltrated us and stopped our economic power moves by having us join on to them. So it was a backwards benefit. It benefited them, not us. But we're wiser now. We're wiser now. We learned from that. We see it didn't benefit us at all. So now we got to make the right moves. That's what we're promoting now. It's a Black Summer. It's a Black Summer. Any other input, etc., before we get off of this conference? But we're here every Sunday, everyone. Every Sunday, 4 p.m. Mobilize. Let's get Roland Martin had 300,000 plus listening to them say we can't do nothing. 300,000 people tuned in to listen to the people that they voted for, that they put their faith in, tell them that you are doo-doo out of luck. I don't use the other word that you say. That's all they told them. Best we could do is make some noise. Best we could do is protest. But for at least the next 4 years, we can't do nothing but hit the streets and make noise. We're saying, yeah, hit the streets. Let's hit the streets and take power. It's a Black Summer. Go ahead, brother Sid.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you, brother Sid.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, we hear you. Okay, all right, great. So I apologize for being late. I had to run around. Plus, I wasn't feeling all that hot today in the time train, so I'm not gonna make a whole lot of excuses. But just let you know, Ramzu, I did complete that test. I mean, I did complete the requirements of the policy officer. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Okay, but I'm glad you alerted us.
And the other thing that I wanted to mention, make a suggestion, which I meant to do it last week. Is it possible for us to get some kind of study session or study group together to do these documents? Because you gave me so far I didn't copy the links for 15, 20 documents. And each one is 37, 84, some of them 100 pages or more long. I think. So I wanted to see the thing pop off in Detroit in the right with us being camaraderie, but I'm not going to be on the mic a long time, but I just want to put that plug in to have a study session at least once a week to do 1 or 2 of these documents so we can kind of all be on the same page. Thank you.
Okay, brother. Yeah, we have a miniature study session on these calls by going over the document, but I know we need to go more thoroughly into them, and I don't want to waste too much time. But it's not wasting time. I don't take too many people much time on them because people have, we got short attention spans. And I want to be go long enough. But yeah, we'll look into that, and definitely we're gonna make Detroit pop off. It gotta pop off in Detroit. You're in Ohio, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Ohio.
Okay. What else did you say?
I said about the study group, and I was saying that I completed the
course. Yes.
The course.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'll look at it. And we'll get you the certificate.
Yeah, and I think that's it though. But I just wanted to give my energy and show y'all some camaraderie, and so
we appreciate.
I know. Yeah, That's what I wanted to do.
I appreciate it, brother. Hope to see you in Detroit. We got to mobilize, got to make that example out of Detroit and elsewhere. Wherever you all live, let's mobilize the people. Got to, like I said, they had 300,000 on that call listening to nothing, having any hope. And I know they went away like, man, that's all we can do is the usual. They don't even have any solution. They admitted that the Trump and the Republicans have power. Wow. I can imagine what they were thinking, those 300,000 people. They didn't have anybody like us on there saying, look, we can hit the streets, declare independence. Go do your pre-ballot right now on afrodescendants.com. There was nobody on the call on that stream or on that platform that Roland Martin had to say that. There's nobody. So now we have to develop this platform, build it out with the populace of our people that want to do something. And there's many out there like those 300,000. Don't know what to do. So even go back to that Roland Martin. If they got a comment section, say, look, come to this stream over here and learn what we are doing. When we are hitting the streets too, but we're hitting the streets and we're taking power. Go ahead, brother. Say it. Comrade, say it.
Okay, let me just comment on that because I want to kind of be restrained, but I'm going to comment on Roland Martin. So y'all know I'm expressing this sincerely to everyone. I follow reparations very closely. So that's one of my fortes that I really am hard about. And so I follow the FBA and the ADOS movement very closely. Anything to do with reparations. And when we came up with the idea of delineation, separating the people from chattel slavery from the rest of the diaspora here in America, we're not talking about of African descent or Afro descendants or anything like that. We're saying we need delineation, and we need it in our homeland, which is here because we've been here for 400 or 500 years. So Roland Martin is not a descendant of child slavery directly. He's from the islands. So when you get those type of people in the head of our strong Black power, when you need to exert that type of Black power energy, they're not going to bring that energy because they don't have the history and the ethnogenesis, and they don't have the Tariq call it Maja spirit, or what he called it something, but it's another term too. They don't have that we have. They don't have the fight that we have. We're the warriors on the planet. So they're not gonna have an agenda. They don't understand the Black Power movement. They don't understand the history from the whole southern states and everything that we've been down to Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, South and North Carolina, Florida, so forth. They have no clue about what we're talking about because we come from that lineage. Although a lot of us may be living in Detroit and Chicago and Cleveland and Buffalo and New York and so Philadelphia, we come from there.
Okay.
So
let me
they do.
address that.
All right. I'm sorry.
Thanks for that.
We feel you, brother. We feel you.
Let me speak on that, Comrade Dan, right quick. Some of the people that popular personalities amongst us as Black people, we are seem like we're there really to cause divisions. We're not there to really bring unity amongst our people. We're there to cause divisions, arguments, etc. amongst the people that all aspire for the same thing, and that's justice for Black people. Afro-descendant, let me correct the term, the understanding of Afro-descendant. Afro-descendant is not defined as people from Africa. Afro-descendant on the international level has a defined meaning of those who were descendant from the slave experiment, the slaves that came from Africa. So it fits that. It's not, doesn't mean that, so it do delineate, if that's the word you use, delineate the word you was using, us from others that may be from Africa that may be living in America now. So that already establishes that. No need to have a new word such as foundational Black Africans. And as I was saying, some people are divisive. That brother seems to be a very divisive brother to create these terms and fight and put down others that are Afro descendant as well. I haven't seen that brother that promotes Foundational Black America, Tariq, whatever his name is. All I've seen him do is make some movies, whatever, shows, whatever he was doing. I've seen Roland Martin take more action than he has taken. So I don't agree with Roland Martin's stance. I don't agree with championing the Democratic Party. But when it comes to action, Roland Martin has done 1,000 times more than Tariq Nasheed. Roland Martin was a big also supporter and helped Dr. Khaled out as well. So I don't get involved in putting other people. That's what he does. He ain't from here. He ain't a foundational Black American. This. Those people that are not foundational, that's from the islands, they are the warriors. They broke down slaves over here, and it's proven today. They fight in Haiti. They fight in Jamaica. They fight in those places. Only a small amount of us, a select few, actually will fight. Will Tariq stand up and fight like the Haitians fight? No, he won't. Well, I don't say what a man do, but I haven't seen him even spread that kind of doctrine or rhetoric about standing up and fighting back. He just used a lot of rhetoric about names and being divisive against others. So I don't subscribe to those. I don't even dialogue about that. I'm just dialoguing with you about it, but I don't even get into that foundational Black America, this and that, because ain't none of us free. Ain't nobody taking the necessary actions besides us to become liberated. Using a term like foundational Black, whatever, I keep forgetting the name, that doesn't make us free. It's not going to get us liberated. Taking action based on self-determination, that's what's going to get us liberated. Go ahead, Comrade Dan. Then we're going to close out. We got about 5 minutes. We're going to close out.
Okay. I just wanted to get you to see if you would actually explain what the right of self-determination means and how it removes us from their jurisdiction lawfully. Salute.
I think we've been doing that the whole call, Comrade Dan, with the right of self-determination.
We've been doing it, but you haven't said it directly how that they have no more authority, no power over us as in our movement to help them understand that no fear. There's no fear. Don't worry about them.
Like Malcolm X said, and King echoed right before the government that our people believe in killed him. We've gone from civil rights to human rights, and the main reason why civil rights is under their jurisdiction. Human rights is international. When you assert the human right of self-determination in law, you read many legal documents that tell you, it says you now become a international person. The movement itself is called an international person. Even though it's a movement, it's labeled an international person. I mean, those involved in that movement are under international jurisdiction or international law. They're no longer under national laws. So we can do whatever is necessary. We can even collaborate with other nations, even if it's Russia, even if it's a so-called terrorist group, Wagner, whatever they want to label these groups, we can do that. I was detained by the federal agents, and when the FBI came into the room to talk to them, and they gave me 3 pages from a law book. I guess the State Department law book, whatever. And one of them was sedition, the other one was exciting others to sedition, and the other was registering as a foreign agent, because I deal with a lot of different governments. And I explained to him, I said, look, I have a right to associate with other governments as long as I'm asserting the right of self-determination. You know, and they could do nothing to me against it. I don't have to register as a foreign agent. I can't get in trouble like they tried to get our brother from the Uhuru movement, Yashatella, in, because I'm not dealing with Russia helping me with some civil rights actions in America. I'm dealing with Russia and others based on our right of self-determination. I'm an international person legally, so local jurisdiction can't prosecute me for dealing with these people. I'm outside of their jurisdiction. So whenever we do that, then we're outside of their jurisdiction. Whenever we say we declare an independence, we're in a self-determination movement. Even if Russia drops some guns out of the sky, they can't come and arrest us for having guns from Russia. They give us some missiles, whatever, or whoever we get them from, we have a right to do that. And they have a right to fight on our behalf as well. They can drop bombs for us if they choose to. because it's an international struggle and our right of self-determination is being forcibly denied. That's in the law. That's in the law books, in their international law. Is that thorough enough, Conrad?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I wanted to hear because, so that the people really understand that, look, this is what must be done. This is what we have the right to do. This is what we're going to do. And with no fear of repercussions. Now, it may be some pushback, but as far as the pushback goes, the only courts that can deal with us, if ever a court system is involved, it's going to be the international court system. It will not be civil. Salute.
Salute, Comrade Dan. There's a document called the Declaration on Principles of International Law concerning friendly relations and cooperation among states in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations. And in that document, matter of fact, before I close out, I'm just going to show it to you on the screen. Let me show it to you here. Here it is. Declaration on the Principle of International Law concerning friendly relations and cooperation among states in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations. And inside this, they're saying that each state must respect the right of self-determination, and they must respect self-determination movements. And if they try to forcibly deny those struggling for self-determination, those people can get assistance from others. First, they can engage in warfare, physical war. It's lawful when someone is trying to forcibly deny you your self-determination. And it's lawful to receive assistance from other states. It's in this document. So they're telling these nations how to relate with each other and how relations should go. So I'm not breaking my relations with you if I give somebody guns to go against you for violating them. That's what they're saying. So we're still in good relations according to law. If y'all understand. So this document explains all this. This matter of fact, and this is the document that explains how you assert the right of self-determination. This is that document that I read from All Peoples Have the Right of Self-Determination. That says that you can form an independent state, you can join with another state, etc. All of these are ways of asserting the right of self-determination. It's not me defining this based on my understanding. It's the law and resolution defining it themselves. So you'll get the correct meaning, not some meaning articulated by myself. This is not rocket science. It's the law. When Jesus was involved in the self-determination movement of the Hebrews in his area against the Romans, he said the law says this. He didn't even say the Bible says this. He said the law says this. He was using legal tools. He was using the law as a tool to say, look, the law says my people, if I can get enough of them together, we can take over this area and assert our right of self-determination. That's what Jesus was involved in, a self-determination movement. He got charged with sedition, trying to overthrow the government, because he was getting the people together to take over. But he said, doesn't the law say that? It's the same thing we're saying. Doesn't the law say we have a right of self-determination? And if enough of us get together collectively, we can take over? So it's not sedition. Remember, I just told you that the federal agent showed me 3 pieces of paper. One of them was sedition. The other was inciting others to sedition. And I broke it down to him and said, no, it's not sedition. It's our right of self-determination. He said, well, okay. They had to agree. And I didn't get charged like Yasha telling and others with collaborating with Russia or any of these type of things. I didn't get charged with sedition. Some of the brothers from different organizations in Detroit were scared to engage with me. A member of one of those organizations came to me and said, the brothers are saying they can't mess with you because you're going to get charged with sedition. 10 years later, here I am. Never locked up for sedition because it's our right. And I know what our rights are. No need to fear. All right, we're going to close out with that. Any other questions from Afro-Descendant Ali? From the YouTube? Oh, you finished streaming. Any other comments? All right. So I hope everybody, thanks for streaming, Brother Ali. Thanks for those who listened to your stream. I hope that what we said resonated with them. We're trying to resonate with our people. The civil rights struggle resonated. But you know one thing that doesn't resonate with anybody? Failure. Failure does not resonate. Somebody can sell you on what caused you to fail. Now you can resonate with what they're selling you, but when you fail at it, that failure doesn't resonate. So brothers and sisters, civil rights is a failure. Voting, all of these reform activities are failures. So I know they're not resonating with you. You're trying to force it to resonate because you don't know anything else. Now we're giving you something that's logical, that's proven, that even our oppressor supposedly accepts as a right and as law. So we hope that it resonates with you enough that you stand with us and take action upon our right of self-determination. This is an extraordinary conversation. You all are extraordinary individuals for participating in this extraordinary conversation. We're not participating in the ordinary conversation that Roland Martin had of civil rights actions against a majority white population. We're talking about utilizing our right as a majority where we live to assert our right of self-determination, and it guarantees non-resistance because it's our right. So thank you all for participating in this extraordinary conversation. We pray that you participate with us in the extraordinary action that's concerning self-determination. And of course, if we all engage in that extraordinary action, we will get that extraordinary result of final justice for Black people. We'll be back again next Sunday. We'll be on our call Thursday night, 8 p.m. Look us up and get the link. I'm sure the link is in the chat box. And if you become a human rights policy officer, you will be on the call with us on Tuesday. And it's everyone's duty to become a human rights policy officer. Principally, even if you don't join our organization per se, you still must become an advocate for human rights for your community. Even the law says that. Later on, we'll read those resolutions. With that being said, everybody have a blessed night. Love you all. Salute.
Salute, family.
Salute, comrades. Salute to all the guests, and salute to
Salute,
be willing to take a
comrade.
stand.